Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to Guadalupe Valley Views. I'm Egan Barthels at the Poe residence, visiting with Sherry Poe. Sherry, thanks for having me out at your place today.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad to meet you and have you here. And like I said, I was friends with your dad.
Well,
many years ago.
And good thing this show is not about that. Sherry and her husband live at the end of Spur 95, which is off of Texas Highway 97 at Cost. And at the end of Spur 95, you'll find the monument where the first shot of Texas independence was fired, here at the Battle of Gonzales. You guys have been out here for many, many years. You telling me since in the 80s. Over that time in the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s, you had a lot of folks that you'd see come out and enjoy the river. And that's one of the reasons we're here today to talk about that. Is a little history on this place in particular. You also belong to Friends of the Lakewood. This organization, many folks think that Friends of Lakewood was organized after the dam failure at Lake H5 or Lakewood, but not necessarily. They began many years before that on just keeping the lake clean and beautiful and nice for all to enjoy.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I'm not real sure exactly when it had its origins or whatever, but I do know that the focus began with keeping the lake clean and the hydrilla, under control and that kind of thing. So that was really the focus that I know of. But the focus has changed now that the dam has been broken and the lake's dry. There's a whole new set of problems.
You were telling me we're coming up on the third anniversary of the failure of the dam, or the gate at the dam at H5, which that's changed the landscape not only for folks who used water recreation, whether it be boating or skiing or jet skiing or what have you out there at the lake, but we're going to take a little different angle and different look at this today. Obviously, for those of you who've visited down 2091 and made it down to the lake out there, you'd see that there's lots of boats and lots of activity. Now it's a little creek that runs through there, and it's a lot of underbrush. But this dam failure has affected a whole lot more, including while we're out here at Cost today, because you can give me a lot of history on this. There was a boat ramp in here, and kind of tell me, how has this affected you over the last few years?
Yeah, well, what I can tell you is that the boat ramp has been here. I'm thinking that Mr. Bruns told me it was built in 1976, and it's been used over the years for lots and lots of boaters from all over the area. People from Seguin and Cuero, DeWitt County, Lavaca County would come here because it was the only public boat access to the Guadalupe River in about a 30-mile radius is what I understood. And my husband and I moved down here in 1983, and we bought a real small house right here on Ezekiel Williams Slough, which is just a little slough area right off the Guadalupe. And it was just like a little retirement home that Mr. and Miss Ashley from San Antonio had built back in 1957. And we remodeled it and raised our family down here and still live here. What we really want to focus on today, I think, is the fact that many people are unaware that when the dam broke at H5, it not only drained the lake, but it lowered the river level upstream nearly 12 feet, which ranchers on either side of the river have lost grazing land because their cattle, first of all, if they went down into that area where the river had been, they get bogged down and may not get out, or at some points the river was so low, and it is so low still, that they just cross over. So that's been a real problem for the farmers and ranchers up the river. But where we live, I believe is one of the most unique places in the state of Texas because it is a state park. It's a very, very small area. It's not utilized for much other than, over the years for the boat ramp and people just to come down. The real historical, the purists, like to come to this area because this is actually where the Come and Take It battle was fought. And if you go and read the accounts of the battle itself, it mentions that, when they started in Gonzales, that the river was swollen, it was flooded. And we've been down here through the flood in 98, 2002, and 2004, so we know exactly what a flooded river is all about. But during that time, when they were, marching from Gonzales and coming to this area, it says that they came upon. They came down the hill, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning. And when the sun came up, they realized they were in a watermelon and a corn patch, and that belonged to Ezekiel Williams. And so he was the farmer, the rancher that had the area down here. This whole plot of land down here is the Ezekiel Williams abstract, and the slough is called the Ezekiel Williams Slough. And the Texas Parks and Wildlife own the boat ramp here. State of Texas owns the park here, but there's no water in the slough anymore. The boat ramp is, kaput, and it's just full of trash and debris, and it's very, very unsightly. People still come down here to the monument because they stop at the larger monument up the road on Highway 97, which really tells the story of the battle itself. The Historical Commission put up some really nice placards that outlines the Come and Take It battle itself, but for the ones that want to come and see the actual battlefield, there's a monument that was erected, I think, in 1908 by the Texas school children. And it is a very unique area in the state of Texas. It's actually, some people call it the Lexington of Texas. The first shot of the Texas Revolution was fired at this place. And to me, it's really a travesty that there hasn't been much attention paid to this since the dam has broken, and it's just in total disrepair right now.
That's what you and I were, talking about earlier. And again, I go back to say, just as a citizen of the area, and just thinking of the direct when you can see the dam and the gate that broke there, and just seeing what the immediate effect. But again, today I'm learning not that it crossed my mind as how it affected back up to this ramp here, and back up to just the dam below H4. And you talk about the impact that it has. It does have a bigger impact than just for fishing and boating. I mean, you were mentioning to me earlier some of the folks that how over 3 years with our weather and the water currents and changes, how you've even seen changes down below your house here on. You were telling me that who was it you said your father or someone was swimming down here and then it was 20 feet deep at one point?
Oh gosh, that was, my grandfather grew up a mile from here, and then he owned all this river bottom land up until sometime in when did he sell that, in the 90s? Yeah, after he died it was sold. Mm-hmm. And but when he was a boy, he swam in the Ezekiel Williams Slough. He said it was 20 feet deep. So over the years, of course, there's been a lot of silt and stuff deposited in that slough, and ended up being probably about 5 feet deep.
And you go down there and look at it now, and I mean, it's easily to take a step across and to see the change.
It's dry.
Right. You're absolutely right.
It's dry.
You were telling me earlier, even upstream, when you have other creeks that kind of dump into the slough here, mm-hmm. What's it like when you get a bunch of rain upstream?
Well, the slough itself is used as a tributary to the river itself, and so there's a lot of little creeks out on 466 west of here, and when we get a good rain, 2, 3, 4 inches at a time, a good hard rain, it flows water. It always has ever since we've been down here. It flows water.
Part of today's visit was just only to talk and to create awareness, especially on here at the battle of the first shot of Texas independence, not by the big marker at the highway, but at the end of the road, just a mile down off of 97, and taking that angle. You recently joined with a bunch of our neighbors in the community who also are on Friends of Lakewood, and you guys are working right now to see how you can move forward and getting this repaired. And If you can't speak on it, I'd love for you to. If not, I totally understand. But where are things of kind of as of today?
Yeah. Well, I just can give you just a little rundown. A month ago, we hired a lobbyist, John Pitts, from Austin, who is exploring some legislative options for us that would provide some funding to repair the dam or do whatever needs to happen over there. Some people have even suggested a spillway, not a working dam. But we don't know. We don't know what's going to become of that. But from what I understand, and John Pitts did visit this area about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He and brought his little kids down here, and actually saw the area for himself because he believes that the historical aspect of this area merits attention. That's what really caught his attention at the meeting. He heard everybody talk about the lake and their property and their loss of, value of
That's
their
another
property.
thing that we didn't even talk about. But
no.
I mean, if you,
but that's all involved in all that stuff. But he was very, very interested in the historical aspect of this area. That's what he believes needs the attention. And so he has, he's been working with some of the representatives. I know Colkhurst and Syrier. And I know that Syrier is on a committee for tourism and recreation. So there's options he believes that are available for additional funding, and that's what we're really looking at right now. We don't know what's going to happen with GBRA and how they, what all come. We just don't know. We know right now that it doesn't look like there is any funding. It hasn't looked like that for a long time. So we're hoping that the state will take notice and will understand the historical aspect of this area, and that is something to be proud of. It's something for really our whole community to be proud of. And we feel like because it's bigger than the lake.
Not only does it have an effect on agriculture, it also has an effect on the wildlife and the environment, because you were telling me that earlier there was a bunch of, this was home for a lot of migratory birds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, my husband, he's a bird watcher anyway from way back. And over the years, we have seen thousands of birds come through this area. I remember one year in particular that the back part of the slough where it's real quiet, the trees were full of what they call the North American ibis, which is the only it's a stork that lives in America, but it's called the North American ibis. But there were, roseate spoonbills here, lots and lots of beautiful wood ducks of all different kinds. We had a bald eagle down here. And not to mention the fish, the spawning area, for bass and other freshwater fish, especially like crappie, lots of crappie, and just people just from all over the state that came here. And they came here for like a variety of reasons. That we had Boy Scout troops down here. We had people bringing kayaks down here. Every weekend the parking lot would be, full of boaters, either just boaters or people, fishing up and down the river. It was just a really unique little spot. But then you also had people who brought their children and other people, sometimes busloads of children, down here to this particular monument to show them where the first shot of the Texas Revolution was fired, to where the actual come and take it battle occurred. So this area is not an area to cross off of the map. It's really an area that needs to be highlighted right now, I think, especially since our president has mentioned it 3 times, specifically in his speeches about Gonzales, Texas, and the come and take it battle.
as much as we've talked about it around here, and it's been in local paper and local media, the Danville